Hello, I'm Dan Genovese, director here at EnerCom, and I'm joined today by John Young. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Smart Sand. Smart Sand is traded on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol SND. They're a fully integrated sand supply and service company offering a complete sand logistics storage and management solutions. They'll be presenting at EnerCom Denver at 2:20 p.m. Mountain Time on Tuesday, August 15th. The conference kicks off on Sunday, August 13th, with charity golf tournament. It runs through Wednesday, August 16th. So be sure to register to attend the conference at the conference website, www.enercomdenver.com. John, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet. Hey, tell our viewers a little bit about Smart Sand, your company, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, sure. So, well, first, we're super excited for EnerCom next month. Can't wait to see you guys in person. Just to give you kind of a background, Smart Sand started shipping sand in 2012, and we were born out of the need to move large volumes of frac sand throughout basins in North America. It was a real problem at the time for folks engaged in hydraulic fracturing. So we saw that need out there and started the business. And from the beginning, we've been focused on that reliable and sustainable delivery of frac sand, with our emphasis on large-scale mining and world-class mine-to-well site logistics, which are a huge piece that's often forgotten in that stuff. And so from our beginning at our flagship mine in Oakdale, Wisconsin, to our IPO in 2016, to where we are today with 3 active mining and processing plants, about 500 million tons in reserves, and around 10 million tons of annualized processing capacity, we've gone from a startup to being the second largest Northern White frac sand mining company in the world.
Yeah, so tell me, lots of talk about proppant and what type of proppant, synthetic, sand, what type of sand, in-basin sand. Tell me a little bit about, the operator's choice in proppant, especially when it comes to long-term profitability of the well.
Yeah, sure. And there's been some conjecture and debate on this over the last little while. I mean, the large transition from Northern White sand into regional took place kind of starting in 2018. And, at the time, it was focused on Permian operations. I think the operators down there were looking at ways to reduce costs. And one of the big costs was the logistics, right, of having to rail sand from the upper Midwest down into that West Texas basin. And so they looked at different things. And I think, one of the challenges you have when you're under attack with that market share, and we were, no doubt, is that there's no data, right? So folks are using sand and they're saying, well, hey, we think the wells are doing just fine. And until you build a database of results out there, it's hard to attack that premise that sand doesn't matter. And so what we've seen recently with a Rystad study and then another white paper that we sponsored is that it turns out that your proppant choice does in fact matter. And profitability, long-term profitability, long-term cash flow is all affected by those changes. And now that we've got 5 years of data showing that switch to Northern White had material effect on what these wells produce, operators are starting to take another look at it. And, whether or not the Permian switches back, or a portion of it switches back, our operation's not dependent on the Permian, but certainly any demand from the Permian helps with, the supply-demand balance in Northern White. So, it's a positive story for us. We think it's a tailwind, and we're looking forward to kind of seeing how this fleshes out. But there's certainly a lot of talk about sand in the market right now.
Yeah, certainly an operator should be talking to you a little bit about that white paper and kind of some of the results that you saw through that data collection process. Now, you guys, this last quarter, it looks like, solid financial results, operating results, and tell me a little bit about, where the company's at right now in terms of your balance sheet and your operating revenues and profits.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, not to get into the specifics of kind of, the stuff that's unreported now, but yeah, certainly first quarter was strong for us. Our volumes were, record volumes from a frac sand standpoint, from a Smart Sand standpoint. We're expected to be cash flow positive. We are generating, good revenue on the assets we have. We're keeping our CapEx as low as we can. We have a good runway ahead of us, right? We've got roughly 10 million tons of capacity. We sell a little under half of that from a run rate perspective. And so when you look at our opportunities out there, we've got this massive amount of frac sand capacity that's available to sell with limited to no capital required to do that. We've got a great last mile business, that people are starting to recognize for its efficiencies. And so from a standpoint, when you take those and you add in some of these market concerns that could create demand disruptions, particularly in the Permian, we think the tailwinds are strong on this business, and we're excited to kind of get into the second half of this year and see where it goes. Of course, commodity price is helpful, right? Oil's been, on a decent sustained run here. Nat gas had a little bit of a dip last year, but our operations remain strong. We are focused on Marcellus and Bakken and some other areas in the country, but when you're doing great volumes in the Bakken for oil and great volumes to the Marcellus for gas, it feels like we've got a good, kind of a good sustainable run ahead of us here.
Yeah, I'll ask one more question. Tell me a little bit about your team. Tell me a little bit about the culture of the company. You guys sound like some really great folks to do business with.
Well, sure, yeah. So as you mentioned before, we mentioned in the call, we're a public company, right? But we're a good portion of this company is held by insiders, right? I think the current number is about 30% of our outstanding shares are held by insiders. So we run this business like it matters to us because it does matter to us. So, we take, probably a relatively conservative approach. Our leverage levels are extremely low. We're under $20 million in total debt for this company. And we have, those assets that I mentioned before. So we really focus on delivering for our shareholders because our shareholders are ourselves, right? And so as you see this company move forward, you're going to see that continued focus on spending our money wisely and returning as much shareholder value as we can going forward.
Yeah, John, thanks. It sounds like a great reason for folks to come to the conference, meet your team, the Smart Sand team. You guys will be available for one-on-one meetings. So I want to encourage everybody to register and request a meeting with Smart Sand. The conference has a lot of not only great companies presenting, but a lot of great networking opportunities for investors and industry. So look forward to seeing you in August, John. Thanks for joining me today. Good luck there at Smart Sand, and keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thank you.
You bet.